Okay, my name's Ian O'Neill, and I work for Discovery News, and I am the space producer for Discovery News. So if you go onto discoverynews.com and click on space, anything on there, I kind of administer it. So we got for the whole Discovery News, we have like 30 odd writers, and I personally have like 8 bloggers and writers that work directly underneath me. And it's a fairly new venture because we got relaunched back in November. Because Discovery Channel decided to give us our own budget, so they said, "Off you go, go and make us popular." So it's basically its own standalone website. And basically, through my time on Discovery News, I've discovered the power of social media. And although this isn't specifically about Mars, I think the Mars Society and Mars advocate groups in general can really take home a message from the use of social media and how it's impacted me. Because the key thing is, I don't particularly want to give you a lesson here about Twitter, Facebook. You can learn that all yourselves. I'm sure you've all used it in some way. In fact, who actually uses Twitter on a regular basis? Oh. Who uses Facebook? Oh, that's better. Okay. But my talk's going to really focus around Twitter because I found it the most powerful tool for me, but this applies to any platform that is a social media platform. Okay, so social media is a tool, and it's been fantastic for me to promote science articles, science videos, slideshows, all the funky stuff that goes with being in the media, especially in the space media. It's, as one of my colleagues keeps saying, we're in the business of awesome, and that's really what we do. And it's really a very unique position to be in, to be promoting space science personally. We also have an Earth producer and also tech producer, and they do their thing. But for me personally, space is the most captivating subject, and you guys all work in a fantastic area. And the thing is, I'm actually a solar physicist. I wasn't trained in the media. So back in 2006, I got my PhD in solar physics. So this is kind of an alien world for me. And when I moved to the States, I started blogging. And so that was really my first taster. I worked for the Universe Today. I was their space blogger. And that really taught me a lesson of how to promote science and how to get to grips with science and promote it to the public. And I'd argue that is a key element if you are working in science. If you're a scientist yourself or work for an avocation group, you need to be able to promote that to the public, because that can actually change minds and ultimately change policy. So social media is a tool. It helps you do that. Social media is very different from the traditional media. Traditional media is you write an article, you publish it the next day, and you read it in a newspaper, and that is really it. Social media is something so basic as having a blog and people comment on it. That is social media. That is the most basic form of social media. And if anybody's got a blog, you know that you can have a lot of very crazy comments, you get in big debates. It's a feedback. And I often argue this in presentations I've done in Discovery Channel, that sometimes the comments at the bottom of your blog posts are more interesting than the blog itself. Some of the people write, some of the comments people write on these articles are incredible. I think there's a unofficial rule that says don't read the comments because it's just going to get you angry. But that's great because you're getting feedback and you're getting a debate going, and there's a lot of controversy, but this is good. I mean, this is a way of communicating science. As I just said, I mean, it can be used as a tool. It can promote your message. So if you've got something to talk about, use social media to actually promote it and connect with your audience. I don't particularly want to go into all these facts and figures about why social media is fab. I mean, I use it as a tool. I just want to give my personal reflection on how it's worked for me. I've got a couple of little stories as well that I want to just share, just to show you the impact that I've had on science just by using Twitter. I mean, I was so negative against Twitter back in 2008 that I didn't want to use it. And it was only because one of a friend that I met through another social media site, he's based in Israel, and I wouldn't have normally come across him in my everyday life. But he just like my articles, he promoted my articles through all these social media sites, and I thought, okay, what's this guy doing? And I started speaking to him, and he's what you would consider like a social media guru, or an expert on social media. And he was saying, Ian, you need to get into Twitter. It's fantastic. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I wasn't really that fussed. I mean, 140 characters, literally, that's a text message. I mean, how can that really be used to promote science? But I found a way of doing it, and I'm going to show you how. As I said, I'm not an expert. I'm certainly not a guru in social media, and you get these self-proclaimed experts that say, you can get all this traffic coming your way if you just use Twitter. I'm not that kind of guy. I just use it because it works. And if the media know that it works, I know it can work for you guys as well. I've got a bit of an addiction to it as well. I mean, that's just me. I've got a personal account. I also run an account for Discovery News. It's Discovery Space. And I try and keep it professional most times, but also I've got a lot of friends on Twitter. I've actually met these people, and there's a few examples, as I'll show you in a minute, as to how these connections had tangible results for me, especially coming from the science world into the media world. It was an invaluable method for me to reach out to like-minded people. The key thing with social media is to build a community, and I can see here we've got a community in this room. Each of us, we've got varied day jobs. We're hobbyists, we are scientists, we are advocates, we're all from different, there's a couple of media guys as well. I know Jeff's in the audience as well. And we are all very varied, but we all share one goal, and that is Mars. I mean, I used to work for the Mars Foundation with Bruce Mackenzie, and so I've got a feel for what the Mars community has to offer. And social media can connect you all away from these conferences, because we're all spread all over the world. And social media brings that community together in one place, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whether it's MySpace, or anything like that. It brings everybody together, and you can share ideas and communicate your topic, which is Mars. As I say, I'm going to focus mainly on Twitter, but this applies to everything. As I said, I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to Twitter, so you're going to have to forgive me on that. As I was saying, it can be used to communicate your message across the globe. There's absolutely no limit to social media, and it's growing. I mean, this thing is growing very, very, very fast. A lot of people don't understand what it is, and that's for you to find out, for you to experiment with, but I'm just going to show you exactly how it helped me. And also the important thing, as Robert was discussing yesterday in the dinner, there is a lot of political wrangling going on at the moment about Mars, about going to the moon, asteroids, and social media connects with everybody. Governments use it, advocacy groups use it, universities use it. This is a good way of communicating with like-minded people to bring them together. Ultimately, it could change policy. It could actually go to Capitol Hill, just by volume of numbers. And just to prove a point, and this, I literally just put this in last night, I just found this interesting article. It's from Gather.com, which is a statistics group. And this was a poll taken over 1,454 individuals. And it basically says the majority of adults surveyed admitted to sharing news online, either through Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, email, bookmarking sites like Digg. 90%, and this shocked me, I mean, I knew it was high, but 90% of respondents younger than 25 use Twitter and Facebook to share news. Already you've got a distribution network ready and waiting, and this is the kind of age group we should be aiming at. Any Mars advocacy group should be looking for the youngsters. That's a grassroots effort to communicate Mars science. If you just get a group of 25-year-olds sharing news of the most recent MDRS mission on their Facebook or Twitter, guaranteed that will spread, and it's just, that's how things go viral online. That's what they call it. It just explodes online. So that's an interesting statistic to remember whenever you're using social media of any kind. Now, as I said, 2008, I was really dead set on not using Twitter. It was like, I write blogs. At the time I was working for the university, I wasn't in my producer role. And I didn't get social media. I had a Facebook page, I had my own blog, all great fun. I occasionally got comments. I had a lot of arguments in the comment boxes, and I thought that was really my scope of social media. But with Twitter, I had an account, I started using it, and I'll show you the strategy that I used to actually build up a following. But back in 2009, I only had like a very modest community going, and they're all space related. Everybody, as I said, as varied as this crowd here, all had different day jobs. You had artists, lawyers, scientists, all these people from different backgrounds, all sharing a common interest, and that was space, because I'd created a community around my name, around my Twitter account, which is Astro Engine. I should have put it up, but I'll tell you about that later. But my first wire moment came March 15th, 2009. It's a bit of a sad story, but it'll make sense at the end. Now, anybody remember the launch of STS-119? It was a servicing mission to the International Space Station. It was just a regular launch of Space Shuttle Discovery. And I'd started getting into this routine of live tweeting, and all it is, it's kind of sad. It's like a group of people all around their computers all over the world, and you're all watching the NASA feed of the launch. You're all tweeting exactly what's going on the screen, and it seemed really silly. It's like, oh, you know, the astronauts have gotten to the Astrovan. The astronauts have gone to the Astrovan, and everybody is saying the same thing. And that didn't make a lot of sense to me, but I did it anyway, because there were a lot of people getting very, very interested in it, and I thought, if people need some background explanation to what's going on with the shuttle launch, I don't mind promoting it through Twitter. So there you are, live tweeting it. Your fingers start aching after a while, especially when it goes up to launch. But anyway, very early on in this, I think it was during fueling of the external tank of Shuttle Discovery, it became very apparent there was a visitor attached to the side of the tank. And it turned out to be a free-tailed bat. For a while, we thought it was a fruit bat, but of course, that kind of engaged the community that I had. You know, suddenly I realized I was watching this NASA feed, and suddenly there was a close-up and this little thing just sort of trembling on the side of the rocket booster, and it was like, that suddenly made that rocket launch interesting, because I often hear a lot of feedback from people that say, you know, we especially in Discovery News, because we don't get a lot of traffic when we write an article about a shuttle launch, and it's really sad because we're running out of shuttle launches. So any way to promote these shuttle launches, the better. So that's why I was live tweeting it. But then, by amazing fortune, we had this little bat to think about. Suddenly, a terrestrial problem became a very big space problem. And the assumption was it would fly away. And that's happened before. But this bat held on. It persisted. What was he doing on there? You know, they fueled up the tank. It was ready to go. And suddenly, after about, 20 minutes of discussing this bat, I thought, I'm going to have to name it. I mean, I've just got a thing with naming small animals Brian. So I called him Brian. I didn't realize the storm this would generate just by naming him. And this was just on